All right, so I was going to ask you this question later, but since you mentioned bias, I'm just going to jump to it right now. So OpenAI's former VP of Research, Dario Amodi, admitted to GPT-3 performance on bias issues in some of his slides that we found online. And so we'll provide a link to those in the show notes. And so part of this can be related to that men from developed countries are overrepresented as authors of online content, especially in the content used to train most language models, including presumably GPT-3. So this can lead to models picking up on biases that disadvantage other groups like women and people that just aren't from developed countries, for example. What can we do to mitigate dataset bias like this?
Yeah, it's a really important issue, and unfortunately a reality just given that the models consume so much data and the only available source of that is kind of this very uncurated online world.
Right.
And so I think there's a first really important component, which is just trying to study and understand how the model is performing and document that as well as possible and share that information and be transparent so that people are aware of the risks and understand what's going on with this system. So that was a big thing. As we were releasing GPT-3, OpenAI has a whole policy group, and that I worked with some of our researchers there as well on building out these bias tests for our system so that we could try to kind of be transparent about what we were seeing from the model. And as you're saying, in most cases, without kind of further intervention, these systems do replicate just the average of what's online, which is not representative of the average of the world. So I think that's a really important thing at this stage is giving that information to people who are using these systems. And then the second stage is also enabling them to kind of do something about that in their specific use case. And so there was a paper from OpenAI that worked with fine-tuning, as you mentioned, and kind of just small data sets of 100 examples to guide the model towards the type of output that they were looking for on specific sensitive topics. And they found that they could definitely move the needle in a good direction using that type of approach. So I think that's one way to go. Ultimately, I mean, ideally, we would have great data that people could sort of collect as much data as they needed that fit their sort of standards for their particular use case. But I think we're not in a place right now where that's realistic. So for me, at least, I tend towards be really transparent, have very honest conversations about what is needed in a specific situation, and then really test the system and see whether it's going to be up to your standards for that.